Morpeko V returns, but this time with a new partner. Welcome back everyone to more from the Sable Eyes. I'm Mitch, and today we're taking a look at another really interesting deck that has come up thanks to Rebel Clash. It's Morpeko V, but we've got a new partner in the deck this time. It's Cursola, which could be a really cool addition. I think this deck's pretty solid, and it's definitely worth mucking around with. Thank you very much to those people who have recently subscribed to the channel. There's been a nice little uptick recently, so thank you to those people who have subscribed. If you haven't, then please consider doing that. It always makes me feel good in the morning when I wake up and see that more people have subscribed. But without any further ado and no more gushing, I think it's time to take a look at the list. So obviously we're going to base our deck around Morpeko. We've got Electro Wheel for 150 damage, which in itself is not that much damage, but the fact that we can discard an energy and then move this Pokemon to the bench is pretty solid. We have to discard that energy and switch, but we can do plenty of things with that, especially since we have the new Cursola, Galarian Corsola in the deck that we can potentially play around with. Spark is also an acceptable attack, but yeah, Morpeko V is one of those cards that I always wanted to get a really fun deck list with, and I think we finally managed to sort one out. I definitely think that Electro Wheel is a good attack, and especially when you pair it with things like Pokédoll and Cursola, we can do a lot with it. We've also got one copy of the VMAX as well, 180 damage max discharge, does 20 to each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. That's a pretty solid number to be dealing, and that can extrapolate nicely with Electro Power to get a big one-shot on a Tag Team GX, potentially, if you're lucky. Now, I was mentioning with Morpeko, we've got 3-1 line. We can go into a Cursola. Now, this is the card that makes this deck very interesting. The Perish Body ability means that we can switch into the Cursola, put it into the active, and then if our opponent can't Gust, which is still a big weakness for Morpeko, I will say that much, but if they can't Gust and they have to choose to attack into the Cursola, sure, they can knock it out and take a prize, but they need to flip a coin, and if heads, the attacking Pokemon is knocked out. So we have a chance to potentially take some prizes for free with Cursola. It's a bit of a risk, it's a gamble, but we could potentially get it off, and if we do, not only are we taking a knockout, but we're also putting way more pressure on than we normally would with just a Pokédoll. Now, we've got a 3-2 line of Cursola here. The reason that we've got that kind of thin line is because we've got an Ordinary Rod in the list. Sometimes we cut down those counts in tight lists if we can fit an Ordinary Rod in, but I think that's definitely worth including. We also have 3 copies of Pokédoll as well, so we've got potentially 5 things that we can switch into with Morpeko. It's not ideal, but it's going to do the job for us here. Now, the rest of the deck is built around trying to get this Morpeko attacking as quickly as possible. Accelerating energy is one of the ways that we can do that. Tapu Koko Prism is obviously very good. Dance of the Ancients can get that energy discarded from the discard. And if everything is going poorly, we can always use a copy of Boltund V to electrify, to accelerate some energy to those Morpekos. And worst case scenario, we can also use Bolt Storm as well, which is really good for just some plain basic damage. We don't need to retreat or anything like that, which is pretty solid. We have 1 copy of the Dedenne-GX as well, so not a lot of consistency options there. We do have 3 copies of Jirachi. Again, relatively thin on the ground, but there's a lot of cards that we want to fit in this deck, so it is important to do that. We've also included a copy of Bench Barrier Mew. Obviously, it doesn't work against Dragapult VMAX, but Morpeko has a very low HP. It's only 170, so we need to protect them on the bench. Pikarom and Dedenne-GX are very frustrating, so we'll try and hold those off with Mew if we can. That's the Pokemon line. We're going to try and get those Morpekos attacking some way, shape, or form. We've got things like Thunder Mountain, where we can potentially reduce the cost of our attack by a Lightning Energy, which is pretty solid. Or maybe we could use 1 copy of Energy Switch to move an energy from the Tapu Koko Dance of the Ancients, move that onto a Morpeko and try and accelerate that way. If we can't manage to do that, then we're going to need to just kind of rely on getting Boltund out as quickly as possible. We've got 4 copies of Quick Ball to try and find those basic Pokemon, and 4 copies of 3 Pokemon. Words are hard today. 3 Pokecom. It's not a huge count of Pokecom or Pokemon, to be honest. 16 is not necessarily super high, so you're not always going to get good value out of that Pokecom, but I think it's probably the best option. There's no point playing Evo Incense because we've only got 3 evolution Pokemon, and Great Ball probably wouldn't do the job for us here, so Pokecom is going to have to do. I've already mentioned Lily's Pokédoll as a 3 count, and the Old Rod. We also have 4 copies of Electro Power to try and boost that damage up. Lightning decks obviously love Electro Power, so we've got the maximum count of those. And we also have the maximum count of Switch as well. We've got a Jirachi Engine, we've got Pokemon that we want to leave in the active, so Switch is a card that we're happy to find ourselves at some point in the game. We also have 2 copies of a Skateboard that'll be attached to one of our Jirachi, you would think, as well as a single copy of Air Balloon. This one's actually really good, just to attach to pretty much anything, realistically, but don't know if you've noticed or not, but Galarian Cursola has a retreat cost of 2, so if our opponent chooses not to knock it out, we can just attach the Air Balloon and retreat it from the active, so that's pretty solid. Got a few 1 counts in this list: Thunder Mountain, Energy Switch, Air Balloon, Ordinary Rod. We can find some of those cards with Volkner, not the Thunder Mountain though, but we can find an energy with that as well, so finding an item and an energy is pretty good. Sometimes that's all you need with these electric decks, so we've got the Volkner for that. If we need consistency, we've got 3 copies of Marnie for some disruption and 3 copies of Cynthia for shuffle draw. Not the ideal supporter lineup, but we need to make some sacrifices somewhere. And we also have 1 copy of Boss's Orders. It's not great that we've only got 1, we've got no way to get it back, but hopefully we can find at the right time to potentially take a knockout. If we don't, it's okay, we're happy to just keep attacking into the active anyway. Moving on to the energy, we obviously have Lightning Energy. We've got 7 in the list for this particular deck. That's going to be enough that we can discard some and accelerate them with Koko while still being able to find them with Volkner. We also have 2 Recycle Energy, which are really good to attach to Morpeko. We can attach that to Morpeko, discard it when we retreat, and it goes straight back to our hands. We guarantee our attachment every turn, but sometimes you don't want to do that. Sometimes you want to attach a Memory Energy to a VMAX. Morpeko VMAX obviously can't use that attack for 150 and switch to the bench, but if we have the Memory Energy, it absolutely can. So it's like having ourselves a Morpeko V with 300 HP, which is pretty solid, if you don't mind me saying so. I like this deck. I think it's really cool. I'm not sure if I'm selling it or not. I think it's good, but I'm not sure exactly how good it's going to be. It's great fun, I will tell you that much. What we'll do is we'll take it out onto the ladder. Hopefully we get ourselves a decent game and we can show off exactly how it works. So if we can show off Morpeko V's quality here, I think we'll be doing quite well. I'm not sure whether we're going to be able to get that Cursola into the active as often as we'd like. A 3-2 line is a little thin, but we'll see how we go. Worldo Pokemon is calling the coin flip. Hopefully at some point we get ourselves a positive coin flip here. We can get a heads and we can move on. No, we lost it. That's okay. It's fine. They are going to pick what they do, and they're going to go first. So that's a bit of a blow for us. That hand isn't great, but there's no basic Pokemon in it. So we will simply shuffle them back in. We're going to give our opponent an extra card, though, which is a bit frustrating. Here we go. This is looking a lot better. We've got Cursola. We've got Corsola, not Cursola. And we've got Morpeko and an Energy and a Quick Ball. We've got pretty much everything that we need to have a pretty solid start here. Depending, of course, what we get off of the Stellar Wish, and it looks like we're going up against Toxtricity, which is another one of the cool new Lightning decks that we've seen floating around the place. Speed Energy, a card that we didn't include in this list. We could have, but we figured that the other special energies were probably a little bit better just in this specific list. We still need to make sure that we've got some basic energy to pick up with Volkner and to accelerate with Tapu Koko, so it's not the end of the world that we don't have it. It looks like that's pretty much all their turn, so we'll attach a Lightning Energy to this Morpeko. We'll make sure that Jirachi goes off with a Stellar Wish, or we can get ourselves an Air Balloon maybe, or a Quick Ball. I think that's probably going to be the nicest thing to pick up. We just want to set up our board state as best we can, so Quick Ball here is going to be pretty good. It means that we can find something like a Tapu Koko Prism, potentially, to accelerate, just in case we get ourselves Thunder Mountain, or obviously not going to be Energy Switch, because that's already in hand. We can grab ourselves Tapu Koko, and we can even get the Dedenne with the Quick Ball here, so that seems pretty good. So I'll grab the Dedenne, I don't think there's anything else that we realistically need to get. I think this is fine. And then we will probably get rid of the Jirachi, because we're not going to put that down. We'll grab the Tapu Koko now whilst we can. And then we'll start playing some highlighted cards. We'll put Corsola down, we'll put Koko down, and then we'll go for the Dedenne here to try and get into... Ooh, a Thunder Mountain. That's big. That's really big. If we find ourselves a switch off of the Cynthia, then we could potentially get an attack off here. Is it worth going for, or are we happy just to sit on this? I mean, there's no real reason to risk it. Best case scenario, we just do 150 damage and retreat into nothing. So I think what we'll do is we'll just Cynthia, and we managed to get the Thunder Mountain anyway. Okay, cool, no worries. I mean, we're not going to be able to do anything now because we can't get out of the active, so I think it's just a pass from us, but that's funny. Get rid of the Thunder Mountain and it just comes straight back into the hand. It's the benefit of Cynthia sometimes. We didn't want to put the Thunder Mountain down so that our opponent couldn't just attack for free. They're going to need to find their own... Just as I say it, they're going to need to find their own Thunder Mountain. They've found their Thunder Mountain. It is in play. And they're going to get themselves a bit of a setup by the look of it. They've got Pokecom finding a Dedenne, so they're going to be able to draw a bunch of cards. Looks like our opponent's gone for the full max rarity here. I have to say that the rainbow cards have never been my favourite. They're not necessarily that amazing. Are we seriously about to just lose this Morpeko this turn? 160. Okay, cool. So they didn't get the poison. That's fine. We can actually just attach to... Is it worth... Okay, we're in a weird spot here because we can evolve this Morpeko, but it could potentially just get knocked out this turn. We can't replace the Thunder Mountain with anything. That's going to stay in play, and I imagine it's going to stay in play for the entire game. We could potentially gust out the Dedenne and take a knockout with Morpeko V, but is it worth doing? Probably not. I'm not sure. We could attach to this Boltund, maybe the Morpeko, when we just retreat into Cursola. Burn that energy. I think this is okay. What we'll do is we'll Electro Wheel here, and then either go into the Corsola. What we can do, yeah, well, okay. So we're gonna Air Balloon, and then we can Cynthia, and if we find Cursola, then we can just retreat into it. So let's do that. Hopefully we can get into it. Oh no, we didn't. We could go into the Jirachi next turn. There's no point in attaching the escape board now. I think we're just going to have to lose this Corsola, which is a real shame. I would have liked to have gotten the Cursola here, because that would have been great to put that pressure on our opponent to find another gust or to flip a coin. I think it's going to have to just be an Electro Wheel into Corsola here. There's nothing really else that we can expect to do. We could put in the Boltund, but then we risk losing the prizes if they do get their poison. So we'll just put the Corsola. That sucks that we're going to lose it, because we could have potentially found that Cursola at some point, but there's still a chance. And more importantly, oh my goodness, they're using Mellow and Lana, that's so frustrating. More importantly, we still have Tapu Koko here, so we're looking like we're in a pretty solid spot, although we will need another Morpeko at some point. Looks like they're going back into their Toxtricity and taking a knockout. They've only got one card in hand, 2 now. So we've got a bit of a chance if we can start to capitalize. Oh, another Corsola. Okay, so now we could potentially use. Let's Stellar Wish. We'll figure out. We got a Quick Ball here, so we can do a little bit of mucking around with this energy. We can Quick Ball, probably getting rid of a Lightning, and search for something else. Well, Volkner as well. Let's get a Pokédoll, because we're going to be able to put a Pokédoll down and another Morpeko, which seems pretty solid. So we can get rid of the lightning energy that we just searched for. We don't need that anymore. Then we can grab a Morpeko. We can put that onto the bench. We can pop the Koko, get the energy that we need. And then we can put down the recycle energy and use that as a discard on our Morpeko that has been damaged. We can use the Pokédoll as well as an opportunity to not lose prizes, because we know that our opponent doesn't have a huge amount going on in their hand. So unless they've gotten really lucky off of the prizes, we should be able to switch into the Pokédoll and then force our opponent to take the knockout here. So 150, we'll remove the recycle energy and we'll go into the Lily's Pokédoll. Actually, we probably could have just attached to the Morpeko on the bench, to be fair there, because I mean, the energy that we were discarding, we were able to attack with Thunder Mountain anyway. They do have a Cynthia off of the prizes or the top deck, though, so that's annoying. And now they're going to be able to set themselves up, but on the plus side, they can't Gust, and they can't heal. So they are not going to be able to get that 180 damage off of the Toxtricity. That's there forever now, or at least until next turn. They've got another Toxtricity on the bench with an energy attached, and they're going to grab Tapu Koko Prism. I think Toxtricity's first attack does 20 and poisons, so that's going to be annoying. It's going to knock out the Pokédoll, but it's going to allow them to have a fresh card as well. This is very interesting, very interesting situation to be in. I think we're going to be okay, because worst case scenario, we'll just be able to half hit this Toxtricity again. And yeah, there is the retreat with the Air Balloon. There's the poison job, and yes, 20 plus 10 from poison is going to knock out Lily's Pokédoll. That's right, we've got Jirachi here. We can evolve, we can get a Corsola potentially. I think we probably need to get this Cynthia, that seems fine. We'll chuck down the Corsola maybe, or do we just go for a Pokédoll? I mean, we could potentially try and find one. It's really annoying to lose this Corsola though. I really want to show it off, but I think that it's just better to attack into a Pokédoll if we can. So I'm gonna Cynthia. I don't like it, but you know, I think it's probably the best that we could do. We got the Pokédoll, which is really good, so we can retreat into that. But actually, we've got Morpeko and an E-Power here. If we evolve this fresh Morpeko and then Electro Power, we can just take a knockout on this Toxtricity, which is really good. And we can save ourselves the effort. We're gonna take 2 prizes here. Max Discharge is gonna do 210. And then 20 damage to everything else. That seems like a solid play. I like that. So we'll grab a couple of prizes. We've got a Volkner and a Jirachi. So neither of those super important, but they're going to be able to get us to do the job. Now, I'm concerned about how close our opponent is to a knockout. 300 HP is not a lot, so they could very easily do that. 160 plus 80 if I'm poisoned, so that's 250. They just need 2 Electro Powers to take a knockout. But they're actually going for the Great Catcher here. So the 160 is going to be taking 2 prizes on this, the Dedenne. So that's a good thing, but a bad thing. And Tool Scrapper is going to get rid of our escape board. We've actually got that in our hand anyway, so we don't really mind too much. They'll take 2 prizes, but we've got a Jirachi with an escape board, and we're taking 3 prizes ourselves this turn. So I'm actually thinking that we're in a pretty solid spot here. We will grab ourselves a Quick Ball and a Lightning Energy off of the Volkner. We can discard either the Mew or the Jirachi. Get ourselves a Corsola, which we can put onto the field. This is looking pretty solid now. We might just we could attach this to the Boltund, or we could just hold on to it. There's no real reason to attach at this point. We can Stellar Wish, Boss's Orders, the one of. That's super good, because now we've got game in hand unless they Marnie. We can retreat into the VMAX. We'll be able to take a knockout with that. And then if everything goes well and our opponent can't Gust, then we're good to go. Actually, Morpeko V is even better, because now they can't do any damage. We can just go into the Pokédoll, that's fine. So we're in a great spot here. We've taken 3 prizes. We've got a Pokécom for next turn. We've got Marnie. We've got... what else? Oh, that's why we weren't finding Cursola. But yeah, Boss's Orders in hand. Unless they top deck something really good, it's going to probably do us the game. It's a real shame I didn't get to show off the Cursola at all. I think it's a really good idea, but the deck in concept works pretty well on its own. Our opponent grabbing Boss's Orders out of the discard here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. We're going to be able to Gust. They are going for like a Tingly Return or a Static Shot to take a knockout here. That seems pretty interesting. I guess they could go for that. But yeah, we're in an unlosable position now, unless they've got a random reset stamp, which they don't. So now the Boss's Orders is going to be enough to take a knockout on one of those 2 Pokemon on the bench. Even if they didn't promote one, if they promoted one that we couldn't knock out, we would have been able to do it. Max Discharge will get the game. Well played, well played. Good effort. Nice stuff. Hey, so we didn't get to use Cursola at all, which is really disappointing, but we did see that Morpeko still kind of has what it takes. We benefited there a little bit by Thunder Mountain, and since that stayed in play, it made it a little bit easier for us to stream energy, but I think we still would have been okay, even if we had been up against something else. This is a good deck. I like it. I think it's cool, and I think it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it just for a bit of a muck around on the ladder. If you can get it a little bit more efficient than we could, then I would love to see the list posted in the comments down below. And apart from that, we'll wrap ourselves up. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along. If you like this video, then you consider subscribing. Words are hard. Consider subscribing. I'm not cutting these out anymore. Consider subscribing. Click the button that's just here. Over here, we have ourselves some videos that YouTube thinks you'll like, as well as a playlist down the bottom for more of our Rebel Clash content. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at @thesableize_YT. And apart from that, we will see you all next time for more from the Sableize.